Hello everyone, Sheila back again. Welcome to my channel. It's almost 4 o'clock. I have just come back. I'm in for the night now. I've just been over to the post office, walked over to the post office. I had a sale for some of my coronation coasters off eBay, so I had to walk over the post office. I usually have second class large letter stamps, but I had run out of them because I had this order from Sunday, I think it was. Yes, but I couldn't get any stamps for. Well, I probably could have at one of the supermarkets, but I wasn't going out to one of the supermarkets. I was going to have to wait until today. So that's why I had to walk over to the post office to get some stamps. I got a few extra in case I sell any more. But there was I seen some little kiddies playing. To come out of I go out my back garden when I go to the post office. I go out my back garden and there's a railway line. There's some trees and a railway line behind my house, and a proper crossing gate and everything, a crossing to get over the railway lines. And then onto this, it's quite a new estate. It used to be a scrapyard actually, till it was sold and all these houses, new houses built on it. I hate to think what's underneath the soil in their gardens with all the oil, because it would be contaminated. They must have had to bring a lot of soil in for the cover for the gardens and things. But anyway, I saw some little kiddies playing just around the corner as we cross over the railway lines. There's a track that they call it the River Cycle Path that goes along there, and it comes off down by around my garden, but it goes off further along just after you cross over the railway line. So it like diverts to down my garden and goes off somewhere else. And then we come along, there's a little path, and then the start of these new houses. And I'd seen these little kiddies were playing. There were about 6 or something, 5 and 6, 7 maybe. There was about 4 of them. They were playing around the street. And anyway, I walked over to the post office and got the stamp and posted my little parcel off. I came back again, and no, I didn't say there was little kiddies like where I passed, but when I come up to the railway line, they were in the middle of the railway lines. They were running up and down the railway lines, playing on the railway lines, and it looked like they were trying to pick things up off the middle. So I shouted to them and I got them to come up to where I was, and I says, "You shouldn't be playing on these railway lines." I says, "There's trains come up and down here." And one of the little boys says, "My mum says the trains don't come up here now. There's no trains on this line." I says, "There is trains on this line." I says, "It's only maybe 1 or 2 a day, but I says they're coal wagons and they come up and down here." I says, "And yous are playing up and down on the railway lines." I says, "And the train could run you over." He says, "But we would see the train." I says, "Not if you're right down there." I says, there's fences all the way down. You can't get off the railway lines till you come back up here and cross over the crossing." And he says, "But we can't." I says, I says, "There's a corner just down there, not far away." I says, "The train comes around there very fast." I says, "And they usually toot the horn on the train when they're coming round, but I says, sometimes they don't. And I says, if they don't see you on the line, I says, you could be knocked over before you get out there." And I says, start to get a little bit cheek off them. So I said to them, "You know what?" I says, "You know where I live?" I says, "There's a man that works for the railway trains." I says, "And he's got a cabin just down a little bit past where I live." And I says, "And he's the watchman for the railway lines." I says, "And if he sees anybody on the lines, and anybody tells him there's anybody on the lines, he phones the police." I says, "And he'll get taken away and put in a cell. Because," I says, "they shouldn't be on the railway lines." And I said to them, I says, "And I know where you live, so," I says, "I'm going to tell them." Like, he says, "You don't know where we live?" I says, "I do. You just live round the corner there." And I pointed round where I'd seen them playing in their faces. And I says, "Right, get yourself away off this line and don't let me see you on here again." They couldn't get away quick enough, after I gave them a little warning. But it is dangerous, It is, you can't see, when you're looking on the railway line where I live, when you look up one side, you can see a long way off. But the other way I told the kids about is a corner. And you don't see the train till it comes round that corner, and then it's nearly onto the where the crossing is. And sometimes they don't. They're supposed to toot the horn thing as they come around these corners, just in case there's anybody crossing over that crossing. But many a time I've crossed over and I've never heard anything at all from the train. It's just, I've just actually heard the train coming as I've come up to the crossing. Well, that was a little bit thing I was warning them kids about. I'll be keeping an eye out for them in case I see them again. But it's the kids on holiday from school that's probably a little bit bored and don't know what to do with themselves, so they're thinking they'll have a look around, and probably new to the estate because it is quite a new estate that's been built. But anyway, I'm sitting knitting. Nearly finished this little blue one for Karen. I have the back, both sides, one of the sleeve. I could have had this other sleeve. I'm part of the way through the other sleeve, but I made a mistake further down. And I didn't realise I forgot to increase further down, and it knocked the pattern out, and because I was following what I had on the pattern and it wasn't sort of matching, I had about that much done, so I had to pull it back down again. And I was hoping to get it finished, so when I walked over to the post office I could have had it finished all together and posted it off with that other one, but I left it and I'll sort it out. I'm not going to rush it because I'll make a mistake. But I have been doing other things. Show you. This is the pink blanket, pink and white blanket I'm doing. That's how much I've got done of that. And I am doing a tutorial on this blanket. It's slightly different. The pattern is slightly different to the one I've done before, but I didn't do a tutorial for the other one before. I just showed how to do the stitch, where it was just like a double moss stitch. That's all I did. But this is like a 2 by 3 basket stitch. It's knit 2, purl 2 for 3 rows, and then change to purl 2, knit 2 for 3 rows, because it looks a bit better with just the 3 rows and a few extra stitches on the side. But I'll work this out. This is actually going to the other one. I'll get the other one because I have finished that one. But this one, the blue one, it is the same size as this one. Just looking at it. And this one has come out measuring 28 by 30. The one I did originally, because I've done this one on 8mm needles, the first one I did on this one, I did on 7mm. But I think it's much better because it feels a lot softer than that done on the 8mm needles, because it's making the stitch larger and so it's more softer. So anyway, this one came out 28 by 30, so I'm going to work out like 3 different sizes. A size maybe is for a small pram, and that's another like a middle size for like just laying on the floor or something. And this size would probably fit on a cot. So I'll work out the 3 different sizes for to make a tutorial and then do a PDF for it. And I've done 1 or 2 little bits. I've done what I've done of this one. I've started off and told you how many stitches I've cast on and how I've actually done the pattern. And I've made a little bit video and then showed a little bit more how far I've gotten. So when I get to the end of it, I'll show how many rows I do in the garter stitch and how I cast this off, because I don't just cast it off with the ordinary garter stitch. I do a knit 1, purl 1 when I cast off, because it makes a better edge. As I don't know whether you can see on this one. There, that was a cast off, a knit 1, purl 1 cast off on there, and it makes the edge much better. If I'd done an ordinary knit stitch, it would have sort of pulled it in a little bit, and it just doesn't look right to me. Anyway, that's what I've done. So I'll fold this one up. So that's what I've been doing with those, and This one here, I was doing it with two. Well, I had been telling everybody I had been using two circular needles and that, but I started working with just the these are the chia goo ones. I think that's how you pronounce it. I had started working on them ones, just using the one pair, because I was using two, like using a pair of knitting needles. But I found I really like these chia goo ones because they don't go. Where's my other ones? I've got the other ones were here. These ones here, it doesn't matter what I do, that's how they end up. I've even put them in hot water. That's the same with my other ones, all the other ones I've got. I put them in hot water and they end up like that. They do sort of straighten out a bit when you're knitting, but I don't like them like that because it's awkward when you're turning, when you finish your row and you're trying to turn them around to get to the next row. But these ones stay that shape. You can't really see, I can hold them up like that and you can see they stay that round shape all the time. They never change. You don't have to straighten them or anything like that. And I really like these ones. I might invest in some myself and buy some in the other sizes that I'll probably only buy the sizes that I would probably use, which is 325 and 4mm. They are the ones I normally do for knitting, and maybe a 6mm, a 7mm. I mean, I have an 8mm here, so I think I might try buy one or two, invest in one or two more sizes, because I really like these ones because they're very easy to knit with. It's very easy to turn your knitting round, you know, you don't get no curves and things. I just happen to like them, and I never realised how good they were. I'd seen a lot of people talking about them, comments about them being good and all that, until you actually try something yourself. You never know how good something is. And while they're all more expensive than the other ones, there's a reason they're expensive, because they're all much better. So that's those ones I'm happy with. And I got on a lot faster actually knitting with them ones, because they're not, like I'm saying, they're not curved and all that. They don't interrupt what you're doing. But I was doing a little bit on Sunday. I was at my granddaughter's on Sunday. I had started with this one. This is a rosebud one I'm doing for Rhiannon. I've started on the little ones I'm doing for her as well. And I took this on Sunday. I did this on Sunday at my granddaughter's because I didn't want to take anything like what I was doing with the blankets or with these ones, with there being more than one ball of wool when I'm knitting. And I managed to do that when I was at my granddaughter's. So once I finish this other little one here, I'll be getting on with the rest of these. But I do have these ones. Well, this one's going to Karen, but the blankets and the other ones I've done are going to the United States. So and that lady's asked me to do another one for her other, I think it's for her other granddaughter, her older one, which I know I'd probably need to do about a 24-inch for her. I think it's about a 24-inch, so I'll probably be doing that in between these ones as well to get it sorted, because they'll all have to go in one parcel going to the United States. You know, you can't send something separate like that and cost the same amount to send as what it's costing to send the blankets and all that, to keep the price of the postage down anyway. So that's a little bit of that. And I am this one here, I have got PDFs. I have got the small size. I've got the 16 to a 20-inch in a small PDF. But all the other ones I have in this pattern are all separate. They're all like the 22, 24, 26 and the 28 are all separate patterns. But I am working on my book at the moment. You can't really read what's on it, but I'm adding all of the sizes together. I'm working them out from all the PDFs I've done, and I'm working them out as I'm knitting them to make sure I get them right, because I have noticed something with this one here. I'm not sure whether the 24 is the same as well, but when I put the fronts on, I made the fronts so that as you can see, the sweater I've got's got the same pattern on. I made it so that the little rosewood lace was very close to the edge, so you had the band down here and the rosebuds going down the very edge But I noticed a lot of the patterns that people have sent to me, because you start the row off with the actual knit two, you know, wool forward, and that's what to make the holes from the very start of the row. And a lot of them have missed that out, and they've all got a plain bit down here. So I'm going to have to work that out to make it so that they don't start with the knit two together, maybe it's 1 or 2 stitches before, because a lot of people, they must have got mixed up with that, I think. So I'm working out that pattern. As I do this one, I'll work it out slightly different and then put it in the PDF. And I might do a 30-inch, but I'll have to knit that one as well and add it, because I like to put about 5 sizes on a pattern when I do it. So a 30-inch is still a child's one. I think when you start going to 32, they offer the adult. So I'll probably do knit a 30-inch to sell, and I'll be writing the instructions for that down on that on my ledger with the rest of the pattern before I make it into the PDF for all of the size patterns. And then I'll be able to delete all those separate patterns I have, so when anybody asks for one, they'll have a choice whichever size they want without having to have a lot of different patterns, separate patterns for the same thing. Different sizes, different patterns for different sizes. That's what I'm doing at the moment anyway, but that's not for now anyway. I've got these to knit first and sort out, and I have been asked by a lady called Val. She was on about, she had been watching some of my old videos. She actually reminded me on about this cardigan I was knitting. It must be about 2 years ago now when I started it, and it's in the bottom of my bag. I'll find it here. Some of you will know it. They've seen it before, some of you older subscribers, but some of you newer ones, unless you've watched the pattern. She asked if I had getting it finished. She called it my orange one. And I'm going to finish this one this year. Oh, what's that? I've got a bill in there. I wonder what that's on. Well, I'll have to sort that out for something. It might be something I need for my expenses on my tax returns. But anyway, it was this pattern here. I've got the back. Yes, that's the right way around. I have the back done of it. It was a pattern. I actually have a child's pattern with this actual stitch on, but I altered the stitch a little bit, because this little bit between the this is like a drop below stitch here, and I think there was only about 2 stitches between each one on the original pattern, but I altered it and made it, I think I've got 4 stitches in between. But I'd actually forgotten all about this one. It's been right in the bottom of my whip bag, and there's loads of other things on top of it, balls of wool and other stuff, all other stuff I've been knitting and that. And so anyway, I had getting that's the back. I'd getting the back done, so I'm going to carry on with this as soon as I can, because it's a cardigan. And I have part of one of the fronts done. So, as I'm saying, I'm going to be knitting cardigans for myself now when I get round to it. I do need some new things anyway, because I've noticed a lot of mine, well, my sweaters, especially this one I'm wearing now, you can't see the bottom of it. But this was Aldi's wool. They're so crafty, they call it. And I don't know whether it's just Aldi's wool, because I have a lot of sweaters and they was all knitted with Aldi's wool, because that's what I used to buy before I started on YouTube. Before I realised, you know, how many other kinds of wool there was. And the ribs on the bottom, just lift it up a little bit so you can see what I mean. The rib down the bottom here does not keep its shape. It's gone sort of wide and baggy. So I think if I knit any more, I'm going to knit them on a tighter needle as well, to try to keep them in. But cardigans, I don't seem to have that trouble with cardigans, because cardigans are never always fastened. They just stay the way they are. But with sweaters, you're having them on, you're pulling them on over your body, and they must just stretch over time, I think. That's it anyway. But this, I think, was Mariners. Some of the wool I got from Mariners, I think, long before they went bust. So anyway, I'm going to finish that one off, Val. So, in case you're wondering, that's it. Thank you for reminding me on about it. I've probably been wondering where the needles were as well, because these are, I'm knitting them actually on 450mm, and I was looking for these needles the other day, and I've only got one pair of these ones in the Zings. I have them in other ones, and I was looking them for something the other day, and I couldn't find them, and that's why, because they're on this cardigan. I'm hopeless, you know. I'll put that back in the bag. But I'll put it so I can still see it. I don't think I'll forget it now because I've been talking about it. But I also have that sweater I was knitting as well, which I'm going to finish off as well. I think I knit that one on a tighter needle. I'm not sure whether I did that on 3mm instead of 325. That was, I think, around about the time when I realised that the ribs just do not seem to be keeping their shape. But this is different yarn as well. It is, I'm not sure whether it's King Cole or James C. Brett, I think this one is. But anyway, and like saying, I've got all balls of wool and everything piled in there as well, balls of wool. So that's how I never seen that other one in the bottom. I just plain forgot all about it. And put that in the bag as well and get on with my other knitting. Balls falling all over the place here. So that's just a little bit today, just to let everyone know that I have had a couple of days off, because I usually start getting emails if I have more than 2 days off. People want to know if I'm all right. But being the holiday, I decided to have a couple of days off. I just wasn't going to bother about having to do anything if I didn't want to do any knitting or anything like that, which I haven't done a lot of knitting actually. I've had a couple of days off, but I'm back to normal now. So everyone, there was nothing wrong with me. I just wanted a couple of days off. So thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll catch you all another day. So bye for now.